No, you won't. Until you try. You never feel happy. Never feel happy. No, you won't. Until you try. You never feel happy.
All right, welcome to Washa Distance Education. This is MEL3E, grade 11 math for everyday life. I'm Pete, I'm your teacher, and good morning. Thanks for joining us. So we're actually in the process of kind of wrapping things up here in the course. So the last thing to do, you've done all your key questions, your 20 sets of key questions, and then there's the culminating activity, which just kind of consolidates a lot of what you learned along the way, and especially Unit 4. So we've been looking at that. We started that yesterday, and we're going to take another look, or continue taking a look at the culminating activity, and I'll actually do a few examples with the culminating activity today as well. Okay, so what's left after this then is to do the review, and we have all next week to do the review and whatever's left of this week, so we'll have plenty of time for that. Okay, so and then once the review's over, you get any feedback from your assignments, then you can write the final exam. Okay, now if you're going to need a little extra time to complete any of your assignments past in 2 weeks from now, at the end of January. If you need any more than the end of January, you're going to have to contact me, and there's just some paperwork to fill out. It's not a big deal, but we just have to make sure that we get that done. Okay, just to make sure that you'll be able to get the credit straight away. Okay, as soon as you get done. All right, well, here's the culminating activity. Now, we did look at this yesterday, but I'll do a little review again of this, and then we'll pick up where we left off, because I didn't actually cover the whole thing yesterday. So the culminating activity is worth 10% of your final grade. Well, that's not a good color to be using first thing in the morning. Let's try green. Okay, there you go. 10% of your final grade, and it's supposed to be a pretty, I wouldn't say easy. Yeah, all right, maybe it's supposed to be an easy 10% to get. You shouldn't have too much trouble getting a lot of marks for this. Okay, now there is a marked breakdown thing. This whole first page is really, I'm not really sure why we have it in there actually. Okay, so just to recap then, the scenario is that you're in a band, a musical band, I guess. Could be instrumental, and you're planning a 7-day tour. You're going to do 4 shows during the tour. So you're going to be on the road for 7 days, road trip, but you're going to play 4 shows. 3 will be in Canada, and then 1 in the United States. Now, the key thing here is that you can pick your starting and ending point. Okay, so you don't have to leave from your community. As a matter of fact, the way that it's laid out, it would be difficult to do that because you're driving everywhere. Okay, if you wanted to try, it would be fine. You'd have to add some flights and stuff. So it would be interesting to see if the money part of that would still work out. But anyway, so you're gonna each page, pretty well each page of this culminating activity is a different activity. Think of it as a sub part of a key question, and that's about right. And that's about how much time it'll be for each page, right? Most of the pages won't take you very long. Some of them there's a little bit of research to do. Okay. Now I did say that if you didn't like the idea of being in a band, you could pick something else. A juggling act. A musical theater act, something like that. But whatever it is that you and 4 other people, and you have to go and do tours, sell tickets, and sell merchandise. So if you wanted to change it to something else, you're welcome to do that. All right. So now as far as the due dates, basically what I'm saying is you're aiming to have this done January 26th or thereabouts. Let's have a look. I think that's the beginning of the yeah. So that's the first turnaround week. So that's after the end of the course, um, and so that whole week is a week for me to be marking and to be getting your marks together. Okay. If you're gonna, that's a safe day to put it in. A couple more days down that week, be pretty safe. After that, though, we're gonna have to look at maybe getting um, some paperwork to extend the course for a week or two. Okay, so and that's fine. If you need a little extra time, that's fine. Um, now, let's see. So these are all of the parts of it here. If you want to use this as a checklist, that's really for you. All right, I'm not gonna look at that. All right. And then there's the different parts of it, right? There's the band profile, and we'll talk about that um, some more. When I was going through this yesterday, I was actually going through a page by page. I think we got pretty close to the end, so let me just kind of go to the end. I'm going to do a few examples here just to kind of give you an idea. But let's get right to the end here. Okay, I think we were kind of here. When you get everything done, there's a bit of a summary. It's 14 marks, so there's a lot of marks for that. And it's really just describing stuff. Vehicle rental, and then the name of the vehicle from where you rented it, 7 days. Okay, now expenses, whichever column it goes in, either expenses, which is something that you paid, or revenue, which is money that you made. Okay, so the rental's going to go in here, fuel costs, food and accommodation, and then down near the end you'll be getting your revenue stuff, right? All right. And then you're going to have the totals, and then if this side is more, then you made money, right? And if this column is more, then you lost money. Okay, and it's you can write down whatever it turns out to be, right? It's not like you're gonna I'm not gonna take marks off if you lost money, because that's really the whole point of something like this is to go through it on paper, and it gives you an idea then in your planning if you really wanted to do something like this where you would have to make some adjustments, right? It may even give you an idea that maybe it's not a great idea to do it this way. Right? And that's the way. I mean, that's planning, right? I don't know if you watch this show. It's called Shark Tank on TV. I don't really watch it, but it was on TV last night, and some of the people they came in, they made their pitch, and the sharks gave them money, and it's a business idea. This is what it's all about. So the people come in and give business ideas, and these experienced investors will either support the idea and give them money to implement the idea, or they will really get kind of angry with them for wasting their time. And it's funny, it all has to do with the person having good insight into what they're planning to do and into the industry. And so it's something like this, right? If you do this exercise and find out that you really can't make money at it, right? Then you have to adjust your plans, right? Maybe pick different cities, right? Maybe have a different type of music, or there's some change you have to make in order to make money, right? And that's what this show that I was watching was really about. That some of the people that come in there have got so focused on their idea that they really haven't, like they're in love with their idea and they haven't really worked it out to see whether or not it's going to make the money, whether it's practical or not, right? And that seems to be the ones that get kicked out really fast are the ones that just have no idea. They've been losing money for years, and they don't seem to have any good plan. So just kind of interesting how it seems pretty easy to figure something like this out, but actually there are a lot of unknowns, right? You can have a really good plan and you can try, and then something might come up, right? But that's how we learn. So this last page then is your reflection, and that's really where you will decide what did you learn, right? Is this a successful business, right? What are some things that you could do, to maybe improve things? Maybe you made some money, but not very much, right? Maybe, and then you're going to include just whatever bits of information you think are necessary to do a reflection on 2 or 3 paragraphs, okay, not sentences, paragraphs. So use all that space there, and just decide whether or not this is the sort of thing that would work. Okay, and again, that's what people do pretty well. A good idea for any big thing you're going to do, a big trip you're going to do, a business you're going to start, if you, even after you've taken a couple of classes, a couple of courses, just sit down and reflect. How did this go? How did it work out? And what could I do to improve things? Okay, it's a good habit to get into. All right, so the last page, this is for both of us actually. This is how I'm going to mark your assignment. I think there's two pages to this, yeah. So this is called a rubric, and you may have seen one of these before. But basically, this is how I'm going to mark it. In fact, you'll get this will be on the front of it when I send it back to you. Okay. So the standard, this is kind of what everyone kind of should be shooting for if they just want to get this thing done and passed in. Okay, this is the level 3. This is your 75% kind of level here. This is your 7.5 out of 10 kind of column right here. Okay. So, and it shows you, for example, your first page, band profile. Okay, so how do we know we met the standard? Full details are given profiling the band, its members, and its music. A neatly drawn logo is given. Doesn't say it has to be good, including the band name, and there's evidence of design in the images used on the logo. So in other words, you tried, right? And you tried to make a nice logo. That's basically it. It's not a rating of your artistic ability, but you tried. So if you remember yesterday when I did mine, let's have a look here. Oops. Okay, that wasn't what I was trying to do. Let's see here. So if you were marking mine from yesterday, you would see that I left out several details here, right? And I didn't give you any details about the band. And then my logo sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. Okay? And I'm not just saying artistic merit because, maybe that's a very artistic thing. But, there's no colors to it. I didn't put the name of my band down. So, I probably wouldn't get very many marks for that sort of thing. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So that's how you get the marks for this for that page. Okay, so let's go. That needs lots more work. Okay, so some details are complete. Many require more information. The logo may be sketched or not in full color. So pretty much I met that standard, level 1. So you don't really want to be at level 1. You want to try for a level 3 at least. Okay. For level 2, which is a little more, you're in the kind of the 60% category or the 6 out of 10 category. More details are provided. Some required information is missing probably. The rest of that sentence is missing. That's kind of clever. The logo is complete. Some thought has been given to the images used on the logo, right? So you didn't just peel off a sticker from your little sister's sticker book and slap it in there. Okay, you actually thought about it and put some work into it. Okay. So now, what's the level 4? Some people really, you're going to try, and sometimes in trying, you really want to try for the highest mark, and then if you lose a couple marks, it's not such a big deal, right? So this is in your 8 out of 10, your 10 out of 10 category. So for that first page, what would you have to do? You're going to meet the standard, and additional information is provided beyond what's requested. Okay. Examples: an additional sheet is inserted providing more detail on the band. A logo is done electronically. Okay, and that does happen sometimes. Students will make the logo in a paint program and then staple it on to that sheet. Now that works fine. Or you just write a little note saying "see next page" if instead of having the logo in the box, it's done electronically. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how the culminating activity, how I'm going to mark it, how you get your marks. Now, so let's take a look at the next one. Okay, so the next one, where are we going? Okay, so that's the next page. So the level 3 here, it says performance locations are given according to directions, 3 in Canada, 1 in the US. There is evidence that the locations have been chosen to save money and gas. Okay, that's important because you're trying to kind of cluster them together. Map shows trip route clearly. Trip route, sorry about that. Trying to learn to say that word in Canadian rather than American. um, Map distances are determined accurately using technology and/or road maps. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. I don't think that page would take very long once you have an idea of where your cities are. And then I would add in there that you have 7 days. So if there's 1,000 kilometers between a couple of your venues, chances are you're not going to be able to do it in 7 days. So that sort of thing. So make sure the route you're going to do. I just did it again. The route you're going to follow is it makes sense for the requirements of the assignment. So now let's not worry about level 1 or 2. I don't think anyone here is really in that is going to be aiming for those. So let's see what we would do if we want to get a bit more marks for that. The top mark is in this column here. So meets the standard and the map and legend are detailed. So maybe you have a color coding for the Canadian cities, U.S. cities, and summarize the trip clearly and accurately, providing details of location, travel time, etc. So you just added a little extra detail beyond the minimum to your map. Okay, so that's what you'll get if you're looking for a level 4, which is in the I think it's the 80 to 100. Yeah, it's 80 to 100%. So that's the 8 out of 10, the 10 out of 10. Okay, so that's how this is marked. So before you do each section of it, what I suggest you do is find the entry, find the row for that thing. So you're going to do fuel costs and take a look at each of these, especially these two, the level 4, the level 3, and see if you can come up with a level 3 at the minimum, and ideally a level 4. If you shoot a little higher than the mark you want, chances are you're guaranteeing you're going to get that mark you want. You might even get a better mark. Okay. Now, so the way this works is I'm supposed to go through it, and I'm going to check these off, and then I'm going to kind of give you your overall mark based on the most consistent result, right? So if most of them are 4s, a couple of them are 3s, you probably end up with a 4 out of the deal. Okay, and if most of them are 3s and a couple of them are 4s, you'll probably end up with 3 out of the deal. So that's the way that kind of works. Okay, and then you'll just end up with a mark out of 10 for this whole thing, and that's a direct percentage for your final mark. It's 10% of the course. All right. So, and again, just to sort of make sure it's clear, this is not supposed to be really, really hard. It's supposed to be pretty straightforward assignments and let you have some fun with it. All right. Well, we already looked at the first couple of items here. You probably have to put in a lot more detail than I did in that page. Well, a little more detail. And so here's where the actual, you're going to be applying the course material here, right? So we actually have a map down here, so my little map that I tried to draw up in a corner probably don't really need that. Okay. Oops. So one of the things that might help you if you're doing something like this is if you're familiar with some areas out here. If you're familiar, for example, with the Winnipeg, northern Minnesota neighborhood, then maybe that's where you would want to try and concentrate your um, trip. If you're more familiar with Thunder Bay and then northern United States, uh, then maybe that's the place. Otherwise, I mean, you could certainly just look at a map and try and find some places. I wrote down Minot there just because I'm familiar with it. It's an air base in North Dakota, but I think it's actually under Manitoba. I'm not positive. I think it's closer to Manitoba than Saskatchewan. So, if you have some familiarity with a particular area, that would be a good place to start. Otherwise, just going on to Google and say looking up large U.S. cities. If you want to have a large gig in the United States, I just do that here. So you're on to Google. So large U.S. near um, near Winnipeg, near Manitoba. Manitoba. Okay. List of cities in Manitoba. No, that didn't work. All right, large U.S. Uh, that's interesting. Okay, I have no idea why that happened. Oh. So what I'm trying to do here. Whoa, what did I just? All right, large American cities near Manitoba. Okay, and it isn't working. All right, so let's just go on to maps. Let's look up Winnipeg. Winnipeg, Manitoba. Okay, so there's Winnipeg, and now we can just zoom out and have a look around and see. There you go, Fargo, Bismarck. So that's North Dakota, right? So another way to look at this might be to do a Google for there you go, largest cities in North Dakota. Biggest cities in North Dakota. So Fargo, only 100,000 people though. Bismarck. So, if you plan to go to either Fargo or Bismarck, even Minot has a fairly big population. So now we can go to Google Maps and we say, well, Fargo's not so bad. It's not so far from Winnipeg, is it? Um, and that seems to be one of the bigger. Yeah, see, that's one of the bigger places, right? So let's try it. Let's see what the driving distance is. So we're gonna get directions. So from Winnipeg to Fargo, North Dakota, United States. So it's only 360 kilometers. So you see, that's the sort of thing that you can do when you're doing something like this, right? You don't really have enough information to decide which city in the United States to pick. So I just went and looked up what the largest cities in North Dakota were. I found them, a couple of them, right? Fargo, Bismarck, Fargo by far, Bismarck. And then I decided that I would try Fargo because it seems to be pretty close, you see? So that's the way we would do something like that. Now your question would be, would you go to Thunder Bay and have your next one there? Um, yeah. Now the other city I see here is Duluth, Minnesota. So maybe I would want to do it, maybe I'd check to see how big Duluth is, and maybe that's a better place to go. Okay, maybe I don't have to start in Winnipeg. Maybe I could start in Regina. Go to travel to Fargo and then to Winnipeg and maybe to Thunder Bay. So there are a lot of ways to do this, and that's what I'm encouraging you to do is to try a few try a few routes, try a few ideas, and come up with one that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to add Regina, Saskatchewan, but I'm going to actually put it at the top here, and then I'm going to say Thunder Bay. Okay, so there's my entire route, and then the last one we have to end at where we started. So in that sense, that might not be the best. It might be better to start in Winnipeg. Okay, go to Thunder Bay, go to Fargo, go to Regina, and then go to Winnipeg. Okay, so this is my example, right? So that whole thing, 32 hours of driving, which actually makes sense because you have 7 days to do it in. So if we started in Winnipeg and say our first gig was in Winnipeg, then the trip between Winnipeg and Thunder Bay, that part of it, you have to click this. So to get because it gives you the whole thing, but to get the individual distances, say between Winnipeg and Thunder Bay, actually I think you can just hover over it, or can you? No, it doesn't. It doesn't let you do that. So, what you can do is you get the directions, details. Okay, so from Winnipeg, it'll show you from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay, and just above it, there it is. So it's 8 hours of driving. So that's one of your days. So let's say you did your first stop was Winnipeg. Okay, and let me go here. Okay, so let's say it was going to be Winnipeg. Okay, Winnipeg. And then I think we said Thunder Bay. And our distance there, we'll have to write all those in. I'm just going to flip back here. All right, so our distance was 704 kilometers. So 704. Oh, okay, didn't mean to do that. Yeah. Okay. 704 kilometers. And then my next one, so from Thunder Bay, I'm going to go to Fargo. So we just scroll down, and below Thunder Bay, just before it says Fargo, that's how far it is between Thunder Bay and Fargo. So it's 690 kilometers. Okay, so we'll just go back, and so now it says 690 kilometers. All right, so USA if you want to write there. And then I think what we said was the last one was Regina, and you could go in and change it. You could change any one of these without really messing things up too much. So from Fargo, then we're going to go to Regina, and that's 8 hours, so it's another 823 kilometers. So I'll go here, 823. And then finally, we have to get back to the start. So the last thing we're going to look up is from Regina to Winnipeg. So that's 6 hours, and so it's 572 kilometers. So 572. Okay, so Fargo. SK. Okay, so Winnipeg, Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay to Fargo. And Fargo to Regina. And then Regina to Winnipeg. Okay, so I would total that up. We actually have, I think we have a total, if you go and look in Google Maps, it gives us a total. If we just close this, there's our total. It's 2,789. 2789. Okay, so 2789. Okay, and then we just, now this part's kind of, now that we've finished our planning, we can just kind of and do it. So what I'm kind of showing you is an example of how to, just one example of how to do this. You want to steal this idea, I guess you're welcome to steal it. It's not really stealing ideas. You never really steal ideas. You borrow them. Okay. Let's see. So I'll use a blue here. So we're going from, we decided we're going to go from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay. Okay. And so, this is, if you want to get like really high marks, leg 1, right? And then, leg 2 would be Fargo. Okay, you got to write that a little better, but that's leg 2. See how that works? And then Regina. Okay, so that's leg 3. And then, okay, leg 4. And, you could go and you could say, all right, that's going to be 704 km. That's going to be 690 km. You see, so, that's kind of going above what they asked for. But that, you got that nice legend there, so, might as well use it. 572. Okay. So that kind of nicely wraps everything up and makes it easy to see, what the route is, right? You could even maybe put some numbers on there to kind of give an idea how you're traveling, because that's what someone who's looking at this wants to know. Like if you were giving this to a business partner, or even giving this to your kukum or something, your auntie, so they can know where your trip is. They'd want to know what each leg of your journey is going to be, what direction you're going. Because if you just give them the map without any legend on it, they don't know where you're starting, where you're ending. Okay. So this would be, I think this pretty well covers everything on this particular chart. This number here, the 2789, you're going to need that throughout the course. So that it's important that number be accurate throughout the course, throughout the assignment. So it's important that number be accurate. You're going to be using that for your fuel, the amount of fuel you need, and stuff like that. Right? Okay. So that is, I think, as far as I could tell, that would be a fairly strong example of this page. Okay, maybe, I'm sure I could find some more things to do, but, that's going a little bit above what they asked for. Not a whole pile above, but just a bit, making a nice legend, getting all the distances and stuff like that. Okay, and it does cover all of the requirements, double check there. I don't think anything's too far apart. Everything that we put on there is drivable within 1 day. You might even say that would be a 2-day drive there, but really, I think, they have 7 days to do it, and I think it's quite reasonable, right? To they might be able to. So if you do, if you have a little calendar, so you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Winnipeg to concert drive. So that would be the drive to Thunder Bay TV concert. Okay, and then 4 would be drive to Fargo. Can we do this? Okay, Fargo. Drive. Might have to. I think we can do it. Yeah, Fargo. Drive. Yeah. So one of them, I think we're gonna have to do the concert and then drive the same day. So that's something, and that's the level of detail if you want to work that out. Yeah, it's looking. Might actually have to do one of them. I'd pick one of the shorter ones, maybe Thunder Bay to Fargo, where you'd drive and do the concert. So that would be, yeah, and then it would work because you can drive and do the concert. It's only um, um, so this one, it's only 690 kilometers, so that's not a lot of driving. So you could drive and do the concert, and then all the rest of them would be, then you get to Fargo, then you drive, concert, and then drive. That's a very long drive there, but it's the last one. Oh, it's not, actually, it's a short drive. That's the long drive right there. So you might want to even work it out so that you, no, I think I got it. Anyway, you take a look at that, and so if you have that kind of calendar in mind, then you can see. And I think the way that's laid out, there's only one day where you're actually having a concert and driving, but it's not the longest day. It's a fairly short day. There's the other way to do it, because that's a fairly short drive here. Regina, you might want to put the Winnipeg concert on the last day. That would work. So drive and do the Winnipeg concert on the last day, and so then your first day would just be driving instead of concerting. Okay, so you can sort of see how that would go, and you can have a lot of fun with it, and just spend as much time as you need to on it. All right, so now the vehicle options, this is going to help us figure out what our costs are, right? And you're going to have to, now that you have your distances, that will give you an idea of your kilometers. I think of course all of your you're going to be above the kilometers, I think, pretty much everywhere. So that's oh, by the way, I can just back up just a little bit. Let's say that you go through this whole exercise and then you realize that this little bit right here is kind of causing you some problems. There's nothing that ties you having to go out west, right? You might find a place, maybe you could go up to Red Lake. You might be able to find a place that's closer to do that concert. It just has to be in Canada. You need 3 in Canada, 1 in the United States. Okay, so just if you go through this whole exercise and you find that one of them just doesn't work for you, and that's the whole point of planning stuff, you might find that one just doesn't work. Okay. All right, so now we have this, and we need our total distance driven. So let's take a look at that. That's going to be 2789. So let's write that down. That's going to be 2789 from the previous page. Okay. And now we can work out how much all of this is going to cost, right? So Thrifty, now they actually do the insurance separately, which is a little different than what I do it, but so Thrifty, so it's 69.90 times 7. I think you'll write a lot neater than I just did right there. 69.90 times 7, gonna be 4. Wow, 4. All right, let me just try this again. So anyway, it's 489.30 is what it is. It's 69. 90 times 7. There you go. All right, total kilometers you have to pay for. Well, Thrifty gives you 350 free. So we're going to do so that's going to be 2789 minus 350 here. Okay, and this will change for each situation. 2789 89 minus 350. Okay, I don't know that this is really going to make a huge difference. 439. The free kilometers is such a small amount compared to the amount of driving, but who knows? And now it's 10 cents per kilometer, so it's going to be 0.10 times 2439. Yeah, it's really hard to fit things into that little tiny box here. Okay, so that's going to be $243.90. All right, so GST plus PST, which is 13%, let's just call it that, on those two columns, not three columns, two columns. So it's going to be the 243.90 plus the 49.30 plus 489.30. All right, times 0.13, and it gives me it's $95.32, rounding it off. Cost of insurance, it's going to be the same. This is the same for all of them. So it's 7 times 19.99, and it's this number up here that I'm using. And so for all of them, it's 139.93. And so then the total cost is going to be, it's going to be this plus this plus this plus this. So it's kind of a little ugly there that they mixed in the kilometers, but anyway. So it's 489.30 plus 243.90 plus 95.32 plus 139.93. And here we go. So it's $968.45. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that we haven't really calculated fuel yet, because technically speaking, if we wanted to pick the best option for us, besides comparing the cost, the total cost is not just the rental cost right there, it's also the fuel cost. Right, so it's possible, I don't know that it really is going to be that close, but it's possible that one of these vehicles, because you got two Dodge Caravans, so they'll have the same fuel economy, but one of these vehicles might have enough fuel economy to actually make it cheaper with the gas added in than just the rental, right? So the rental might be a bit more, but then the gas is cheaper. So I don't know, like this one. That's a pretty high fuel consumption rate. So, that one may not be much of a bargain, but, the price is pretty low, you see. So, you may, on paper, it may turn out that this is the cheapest option, that last one, the $42.95, but then you're spending so much on fuel, it sort of wipes out your savings. Okay, so it might be something just to consider, okay? Maybe that's a level 4, right? If you want to really go above and beyond, consider that in your explanation for it. Okay, otherwise you're just going to calculate the price and then decide which vehicle you're going to choose, right? Personally, I'd run those calculations. So once you chose your vehicle, you're going to put that cost in there, which is just the number from that last column. So, and here's where you do your fuel costs. Again, this is something where you see, you're sort of made your decision on which vehicle you're going to take by the time you get to this page. So, if you were going to run those fuel costs, you'd probably want to run them first before you make your decision. Now, this chart is really complicated, and I think what it really comes down to is I don't think any of the cities that we're dealing with are over 1 million people. Okay, so what you really want to do is just pick a gas price that makes sense, and so for example, let's find out the size of Winnipeg, because that's where you're leaving the first time, right? All right. Oops, so we're going to go on here. Let's just open up another. All right. Let's say. Okay, so the Winnipeg population is 633,000, so it's not 1 million people. Okay, so if we go back here, what does it say? If the town you're leaving is a large city over 1 million, no. If the town you are leaving is less than 100 kilometers from a large city, it's not. There are no large cities anywhere near there. Sorry about that. That's aggravating when that happens. Okay, so so that's very unlikely that any of the places you're going to go to are like that. Let's check. Yeah, Minot, definitely nowhere near a large city. The town you're leaving from is between 100 and 300 kilometers from a large city. No, none of the cities, I don't think, are over 1 million people. If the town you're leaving from is more than 300 kilometers from a large city, pretty much the only option for all of the places. You can double check, but I don't think that any of the cities that we're looking at are anywhere near a large city. So you're pretty safe using that one price for gas for all of your calculations. Okay. So, and remember that there's two components to this. Okay. So let's say we're going to go from Winnipeg to Thunder Bay. I think that was our first leg. And now the distance. Now you don't have to work out the distance. We already have it. Let's go back here. And the distance is 704 kilometers. Okay, you don't have to put kilometers. It's already in the headline there. And then the gas price is $1.02 per liter. Okay, so the amount of fuel. Well, we got to pick the vehicle we're driving. We don't know which vehicle we're driving. I'm just going to use this 8.2. Just assuming that's the one we pick. I don't know. I really don't know which one's cheaper. All right, so we're going to use 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers. Okay, so the first part of this, then it's 704. So the calculation I'm going to do is just 704 times 8.2 divided by 100. That's what I'm going to do on my calculator. The actual calculation I'm doing is 704 kilometers times 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers. Okay, that's the actual calculation, and the reason I can get away with all that is that we end up with units as liters, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So I'm just going to follow this one right here. So 704 times 8.2 divided by 100 equals, so it's 57.7 liters. Okay. So 57.7 liters times $1.02 per liter. Okay, so just times 1.02 equals $58.88. Okay, so that's how that's going to work there. Okay, so now I didn't put the other calculation is actually right here. I didn't want to erase the hint that I put in there. You'd probably put both calculations in that gas cost part. I would do that if I were you, because it will give me some insight into how you do the calculations, um, and help you get some marks. So you're going to do that for all of the legs of your journey, and then you'll add up all the costs, and you'll be able to have your total gas costs. Okay. Now, because your gas price is probably going to be the same for each one, technically, well, yeah, it would be the same as working out the gas cost for the whole trip, but this is a breakdown, and you would use this kind of chart if you were traveling to places where gas was a lot cheaper. The way they've structured this here, they're assuming that gas prices are based on, the size of a city, which may actually be true in some cases, but that the further west you get, the cheaper the gas is. So really, what we might, if I was rewriting this, I might change that little gas price chart to say, the, the further west you are, the higher the price is. If you're in Ontario, the gas is $1.20, and if you're in Manitoba, the gas is $1, and if you're really close to Calgary, then the price is 89 cents or something like that. But this is the sort of information you would actually have to go online and make a chart like this for yourself if you wanted to get really accurate information. Okay. And when you're dealing with hundreds of liters of gas, when you're dealing with thousands of kilometers, the difference of 10 cents a liter or 20 cents a liter can actually make a big difference in your total cost. And that's one of the things we want you to see about this. Okay. All right. So you have your you'd have your total fuel cost, total gas cost right there, which is great. You're going to work out your accommodation. That should be pretty straightforward there. You just have to go and find a place to stay. If you have that little chart that shows when you're driving, when you're at the venue doing the concerts, presumably your accommodations for concert days will be in that town, right? And then it doesn't look like you're going to have to stay overnight on the road anywhere. So, yeah. So you might be able to, it looks like maybe, like if you drive one day and then your concert's the next day, you probably have 2 nights in that place where your concert is. Okay. So now it's funny that in the chart here it says that you're going to allow $4 for breakfast and all that stuff. Some hotels will give you free breakfast. So that's something to consider. Of course, they might cost a little more. But there is a convenience factor. You don't all have to go to McDonald's or something. Sorry, computer's doing its thing here. So anyway, the accommodation shouldn't be too bad. And then ticket sales. Now, the rest of this, there's less research to do now. Something like ticket sales, you're just going to sell your tickets. And remember, we don't have any big cities right here. Okay, large town. We picked Fargo because it was a large town. As a matter of fact, so kind of used Fargo as an idea of what a large town would be, and then decide. I don't know if Winnipeg's a large town. Yeah, Winnipeg definitely. Maybe Winnipeg. Yeah, Winnipeg's probably a large town. We think of it as a city, but they're saying 1 million people to be a city, and Winnipeg's just a little below that. Okay. And yeah. So, all right. Well, I guess we better wrap this up today. So hopefully I've given you lots of insight into how to do your culminating activity. So what we'll do, if there's any questions about it, about the culminating activity, we'll take a look at those tomorrow. And I might actually do a little bit more tomorrow on the culminating activity. But then we'll move on to the final exam review, and I'll tell you a little bit about the final exam. And then we'll just do a chapter by chapter, chapter unit by unit review of the course material and get you all ready for the final exam. All right, well, thanks for joining us today, and talk to you tomorrow.